Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the 2023 WisDOT Excellence in Design Awards. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's great to be back with everybody. Great to be here at the ACEC and WisDOT Transportation Improvement Conference. Largest crowd we've had at this conference. Wonderful to be here with everybody. Great to connect with many of you today. And a special welcome to our audience on our live webcast. So a special welcome to you, the live worldwide audience out there. I'm Dan Tyler from the Bureau of Project Development. It's a privilege to present this annual awards celebration to you. I'm pleased to be your host. The goal of this presentation is to introduce you to a range of projects from around the state and to recognize those individuals who've put forth great effort to bring them from an idea to finished product. 7 people volunteered their time to judge this year's competition. They come from WisDOT, FHWA, and private firms. I'm really grateful for their time and their honest perspective. We met at Hill Farms one afternoon in January to determine the winners. We didn't leave until after the sun went down. At the bottom line, our goal was to be fair. I hope that you enjoy what you see today and see how your outcomes compare to what the judges had to say. And would the presenters please join me on stage? We have Scott and Scott from the Administrator's Office in DTSD. Come on up, guys. Thank you. Special thank you also to Mike and Dan from Creative Services for being here for photography and the live webcast. I'll quick mention before I forget that the winners will call your names, and please come on down, and the Scotts will present you with plaques. We'll take some photos up here. You're welcome. None of my copy is more than like 90 seconds, so if you can stay on the stage for a couple pictures while we describe your project, that would be great. And then project teams, if anyone wants to assemble after the program, over here, Dan can do additional group photos, maybe with a larger group, all right? The criteria we use to judge the nominations, they're based on the department's values. They're re-evaluated every year to keep them relevant and honestly to try to make the nomination project pretty smooth and pretty easy. Because let's face it, we're all really busy. It's not just the projects that are supposed to do more with less. It's all of us too, isn't it? So why are we here giving out awards when there's production work to be done? No, because people need to be seen. Sometimes someone will spend years of their career preparing one of these plans, and they want their work to be recognized intentionally. The work also needs to be seen, because we have a lot of turnover. All of us have new staff. We have a lot of changes. Everyone benefits from seeing how their colleagues from around the state are tackling the difficult problems we all face. It's never been really more relevant to showcase these projects. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, may I present to you our first category for today's competition, the Best Rural Design by WisDOT. The first project we feature in today's show is State Trunk 55 in Kaukauna, the Northeast region's nomination from Tim Verhagen, the PM, Joshua Lang, the design lead, and Dan Segerstrom, the supervisor. This resurfacing in the rural community of Sherwood improved 1.4 miles of highway. One thing that stood out in the nomination was this State Trunk 114 intersection, which is not 90 degrees, so preliminary design had a look at it and concluded that any improvements would have high impacts compared to only a slight benefit, so changes were not pursued further, which sounds to me like a great example of performance-based design right out of the gate. The project replaced 24 curb ramps in town. The traffic management plan combined flagging with a short full closure, with particular attention with access for the popular High Cliff State Park. Our next nominee comes from the North Central region. It's State Trunk 34 and the County DB intersection in Marathon County. Thank you, Nicole Lisney, the supervisor, Mark Steidel, perhaps in his last round at the Design Awards, and Aaron Christensen, the project leader. We will miss you in PDS. The existing intersection had significant angle crashes with severe injuries, and HISP funds were used as part of this effort. The design needed to be in sync with the US 51 interchange just to the east and the Mullins Cheese Factory to the south. Their off-alignment alternative allowed State Trunk 34 to remain open during construction, and in the end, a portion of the existing road was simply shaped into a berm that improved aesthetics and saved costs compared to hauling that material all away. The third nominee is Holy Hill Road in Washington County, Southeast Region. 3.2 miles of resurfaced 20 were fast-tracked and turned out on schedule. The nomination highlights the region and bureau team as a key to success. One unique element was an area of settlement where vehicles were bottoming out. The team used an asphalt wedge up to 12 inches thick to correct this problem rather than reconstruction, avoiding more than $100,000. Thank you to Chris Zacharias, the PM, Wayne Mannion, the project leader, and Bill Moore, the design supervisor. Also a shout out to my friend Will Anderson from BPD. The fourth nominee comes from the Southwest region. It's the US 51 intersection with State Trunk 22 and 60. Mark Schweiger from Southwest region and Bill Strobel, now a BPD design chief, who is the project manager. Well, come on down, guys, because you are the first winners in today's program. This intersection was designed to drastically improve safety by transforming several atypical intersections into one modern multi-lane roundabout. These stop-controlled intersections had several fatal and injury crashes, and this $3 million project was approved through the Highway Safety Improvement Program to do something about it. The design team considered multiple alternatives, which had a lot to do with the impacts on the small town of Leeds. They had almost 20 iterations of just the circle location with the goal of minimizing property impacts. The neighbors, of course, were concerned about all the new traffic, and what stood out to me is that the original PM, Lalitha Balachandran, and the project leader, Greg Payne, met with each property owner right at their kitchen tables. It really makes a difference when people really know that you are listening. The previous intersection had sometimes seen backups a half-mile long. Levels of service are expected to improve. The new design is predicted to reduce injury crashes by 76%. Congratulations, team. Our next category is rural design by a consultant. It's a good one. Here's our nominees. The first nominee comes from the North Central region and EMCS on State Trunk 97 near Marshfield. The goal of this perpetuation project is to economically resurface the highway and address a high number of run-off-the-road and intersection crashes. One example of practical design was at the Stad Avenue intersection, where the design used higher standards because the crash rates were higher than average, while at nearby, a guardrail was used to shield steeper slopes and match an existing box culvert in good condition rather than extending that particular culvert. Stephanie Christensen was the PM from EMCS. Wendy Arneson was the PM from WisDOT. Our next nominee comes from Northeast Region and Ayers. It's the State Trunk 29 and County VV interchange in Brown County, just west of Green Bay. Winning a build grant in 2018 meant moving ahead with a project that had only been dreamed of for a long time. The grade separation is expected to all but eliminate severe crashes, with other benefits like more direct routes for school buses. One unique element was this local business that manufactures spectator seating systems, so these unusual loads were modeled for how they could navigate the new roundabouts. Troy Robillard was the PM from Ayers, Jesse Hansen, the PM from WisDOT. Third nomination comes from Southeast Region and Kapoor. It's the KR project. It's an expanded roadway that includes off-street mixed-use paths, 2 new grade-separated rail crossings, and intersections designed to meet future traffic needs. Steve Hoff was the PM from WisDOT, and Prasad Narayan was the PM from Kapoor. Dominique Beckley's team at BOS was a key player as well. This $46 million project attracted 6 bidders and came in under the engineer's estimate. Our fourth nominee is the new Trago interchange up in Washburn County, where U.S. Highways 53 and 63 come together. Once at grade and now grade separated, Eric Sorensen was the PM from Ayers Associates. Beth Cunningham was the PM from WisDOT. And would you please come on down, Eric, Beth, Mark Peterson, Stephanie Christensen, you are the winners. Trago interchange. This project included reconstruction of about 1 mile of US 53 and the reconfiguration of several local roads around the interchange, including realigning County E and constructing new service roads parallel to US 53. Extensive public outreach and governmental coordination, especially environmental, were keys to the project's success. This was a great example of teamwork as WisDOT designed the interchange structure, the Wild Rivers Trail overpass, and retaining walls, while Ayers incorporated the structure plans into the final PS&E package. The thing that stood out most to me was the nomination focused on the impacts of every decision. For example, a 22-foot median with concrete barrier was used to narrow the footprint. To reduce time, an 84-inch temporary culvert pipe was used to maintain flow in the Potato Creek, while the existing box culvert was removed, then the pipe abandoned, requiring some throwaway cost, but estimated to eliminate an entire third construction season. Congratulations on this fine project. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we had a fifth category, a nomination in this category too, one that is truly unlike all the others. Some of you even heard about it here at the conference to some more detail. After a long deliberation, the judges decided that it too should be lauded. More than one of them, frankly, called it life-changing. We are pleased to present an additional award to the Madison Beltline Flex Lane project. Would you please come on down? Jerry Shadwell, the PM, Nick Bennett, the design lead from HNTB, Luke Holman from Strand, Derek Potter, the WisDOT PM. Please come on down, Beltline Flex Lane team. HNTB, WisDOT, and Strand Associates collaborated to design and implement a dynamic shoulder lane on the busiest roadway in southwest Wisconsin, the Flex Lane. Up in the Bureau, we affectionately refer to it as the Rob Rookema Flex Lane after its retired and sometimes skeptical design oversight engineer. Adjustments in the median were combined with a full asphalt overlay. This $60 million project really does make a case for high efficiency, expecting to get another 10 years of life out of the underlying concrete pavement, while expecting to reduce congestion. Their early claims are some 30% improved travel times. The design is focused on active management by WisDOT's Traffic Management Center, using cameras, sensors, and in-person inspections. Message boards are combined with lane control signs to indicate whether it's open or closed. The design also draws on flexibility, notably shoulder width, lane width. One example briefly is stormwater. The design team compared the costs of increasing the drainage with the impacts or costs of simply closing the flex lane during those few times. The flex lane is the first application of a dynamic part-time shoulder lane in the state of Wisconsin. Congratulations to the Beltline Flex Lane design team. All right, let's have our next category, and that's structure design by WisDOT. The first nominee is State Trunk 64, a new box culvert for the Blairmore Branch Stream in Dunn County, Northwest region. The designers considered several options for conveying the water both during construction and in the final condition. The stream was diverted and traffic maintained while this $500,000 project was constructed. Box culverts take advantage of BOS's streamlined design processes, and they have a proven track record for long-term performance. Standard details and focused work meant that direct labor structure design was less than $10,000 here. No change orders, no addenda, no nonsense. Well done, Stacy Hauserman, the structure design engineer, Steve Neary, the hydraulic engineer, and Tyler Rongstad, the project manager. The next nominee comes from the Southwest region, the Wisconsin River Bridge near Spring Green, connecting Sauk and Iowa counties. Could we please get a round of applause for this winning project? Emily Keene from the Bureau of Structures, Jim Simpson, the WisDOT Design PM. Come on down. Let's hear a little more about this great project, a 7-span, 2-lane bridge. It's nearly 1,000 feet long and originally built in 1965. As you can see in the photos, the setting is simply beautiful, which is why Frank Lloyd Wright picked it for his famous Taliesin estate. So the design here was not just about rehabbing a structure, it was really about also updating a gateway to Taliesin and much more. The existing deck was severely cracked and spalled. Bearings and other components were corroded and in need of repair. Any bridge designer knows that older details can be really quite hard to work with. For example, the rehabilitation of hinge members and modular joints. It was also a great opportunity to reset the rocker bearings. River crossings are few and far between. This area is a favorite for bicyclists. Hearing the public's call, then taking advantage of this rare occasion, the design team was able to maximize the deck width and modify the parapet wall, which, in combination with 11-foot lanes, resulted in 5'3" shoulders across the bridge, which really does make a difference. Finally, it stood out to me the nomination asks for key stakeholders in the project, and here's the list that was included. And this indicates to the judges, this team knew that many people's voices mattered, and their ability to involve all these stakeholders and many more really were key to success in this project. So congratulations to the River Crossing, State Trunk 23. Okay, staying with the structures, here are 3 fine projects designed by consultants on structures this year. The first is County Trunk U in Wausau, designed by Ayers and Quest for the North Central region. Probably the biggest deficiency here is that Ayers completed the design 10 years ago. Well, see, it was a like-new bridge and got hit by an over-height vehicle in December 2021. So actually, this project is an emergency repair. And one of the greatest deficiencies is that Ayers was able to be hired and use their original CAD and girder design files to quickly model and design that repair that would allow the bridge to achieve its original 100-year design life. A patch and fiber wrap reinforcing on 3 of the girders saved about $400,000 compared to a conventional replacement. And kudos to Dan Sito at Ayers, Adam Ozapowski at Quest, and Corey Boehm at WisDOT on that quick rehab on U. The next nomination comes from the Southeast region and AECOM. It's the 60th Street Bridge over I-894 in Greenfield. I think the nomination says it well. An efficient design doesn't have to be boring. This project replaced a 60-year-old bridge, and the new one fits both the current 894 and a future expansion without extending beyond the current interchange limits. The new bridge was widened to match 60th Street, now including left turn lanes and shoulders to make space for bicycling plus sidewalks. Being urban, the bridge does incorporate some aesthetics. From the nomination, quote, simple and refined, it is a nice bridge, not a recycled version of its former self. Josh Levesque was the WisDOT PM. Josh, you write that? That was nice. Bill Schilling was the AECOM project manager. Michael Delamont from AECOM, the structures lead, and Susan Paulus at Lakeside doing the traffic control. Next nominee is from the Southwest region, designed by Ayers and Kapoor, the Robert Street Bridge in Fort Atkinson. This is a real team effort, including DOT, consultants, utilities, and the city to deliver a quality project on an accelerated schedule. Would you please join me on stage? Frank Pritzloff from WisDOT, John Bannock and Brad Butters from Ayers, Prasad Narayan, and Andrew Aschenbrenner from Kapoor. You are the winners. This bridge was suffering from spalls, cracks, delamination, the usual suspects. The design team proposed replacing the deck, expansion joints, and approach slabs. In doing so, they were able to consider several alternatives, and the cross-section selected includes a parapet to separate traffic from pedestrians, many of whom use this bridge to walk to school. Originally, the $3 million project was scheduled for 2023, but to accommodate other work in the city, the bridge was built in 22. Remarkably, only 4 months between structure survey report and final PS&E. Still, they considered alternatives and worked with several utilities. So congratulations to the Ayers and Kapoor team on this design award. Congratulations. Okay, let's venture now into the urban categories. First, by WisDOT. The first nominee comes from the Southeast region. It's I-43 in Milwaukee. It's been less than 10 years since the last major rehab here, and this project adds new service life to a busy corridor while keeping costs low. Safety improvements include new barrier wall along the southbound off-ramp to National Avenue and debris fencing to protect school buildings and students, this in a location where a driver had previously hit the school. So they were able to update curb ramps and a park and ride. Drainage structures were evaluated and repaired as needed, particularly those were impacted by traffic loading. Thank you to the project manager, Scott Anderson, design lead, Michelle Spaeth, and Supervisor Wafa Elcock for this nomination. The next nominee for Best Urban Design by WisDOT is State Trunk 89, Farnham Street through Columbus in the Southwest region. Would you please join me in congratulating Stephen Porter, the project manager, Cody Kammerzelt, the project engineer, and their team as this year's winners. This project improves pavement condition, drainage, pedestrian accommodations, water and sewer utilities, and safety for many users of this state highway and critical municipal street. It's only 0.89 miles long, but including several complexities. For example, they looked for a balance with oversized vehicle use and pedestrian use. At one intersection, there had been a problem with drivers passing on the right and some close calls with school children and the crossing guard, so a bump out was used there to address the problem and shorten the crosswalk. There were at least 4 historic properties within the project, and the design avoided right-of-way impacts to these properties. Finally, a culvert crossing was analyzed with different alternatives. Ultimately, triple corrugated pipe arches with smooth cores were selected based on minimizing the impacts to the surrounding properties and conveying the necessary amount of water. Congratulations to the State Trunk 89 Farnham Street team. The next category is Best Urban Design by a Consultant, and as usual, we have some really great and interesting projects here. By the way, 2 more categories, so stick with us here as we get into this afternoon. First, let's visit Mosinee, where North Central Region and CBS Squared finally finished State Trunk 153 through downtown. I tease a little bit. I was a young man joining the region when we started this, but actually it passed through several designers. There were a number of different changes for a lot of reasons, and so Wendy Arneson, the project manager, Preston Bone, the project leader, Tammy Tucker from CBS Squared, brought it to fruition. Congratulations. One particular thing that was really interesting about this was one downtown intersection here. There's a park on one side. Next to it, the road suffered from rear-end crashes because the yield control on the right turn lane resulted in driver expectation problems. Turning left and right are large loads on the State Trunk. And across the street, on the right side of the screen, is a restaurant where patrons standing by the door were literally inches from turning vehicles. And so changing the curb line was the key to giving these people some more space, getting an accessible curb ramp, and still retaining all the parking and turning movements. From Mosinee, we'll head northwest up to Spooner. US 63 goes right through downtown and last summer was reconstructed and reconfigured. Changing from 4 narrow lanes to 2 with a center turn lane is expected to improve safety while preserving connectivity. Much needed pedestrian updates were included, and the work was sensitive to the history and unique character of the corridor. Recurring street flooding was mitigated through a redesigned storm sewer system. The traffic control plan was complex and included innovations like temporarily reversing a one-way street and its diagonal parking during construction, and still, this project had some of the tightest bids in all of the nominations. Thank you, Vance Powers, the SEH PM, and Beth Cunningham, the WisDOT PM. Next, we head to the southeast city of Racine, where Strand led the reconstruction of State Trunk 20, Washington Avenue. Would you please come on down? Ashley Pridemore and Eric Knotson from Strand, and Robert Bellin from Southeast Region. You are the winners! This 1.3-mile Washington Avenue project, it needed a major upgrade. It was last built 50 to 60 years ago with a crash rate nearly twice the average for similar roadways. 2 historic districts and several historic buildings are just some of the many constraints. Strand was charged with creating a gateway corridor without permanent new right-of-way. They did traffic modeling to confirm the benefits of a road diet design, gained space by using context-appropriate 11-foot travel and turn lanes in some locations, and completed an intersection control evaluation at each of the 4 intersections. Laser scanning was used to gather accurate survey data. A citizen advisory committee was formed early in the project to solicit feedback from the community. The $11 million project grew good competition with 5 bidders and a low bid under the engineer's estimate. Thank you to Strand and the Southeast region for your work on this fine project. Well, I'm pleased to announce an additional project in this category. You'll notice that the previous 3 were small urban downtowns, highly constrained, frankly quite similar projects. Quite dissimilar also from what you see on the screen here, right? And there's this one, a major interstate artery through a developing commercial area where an old rural cloverleaf was aging and no longer meeting levels of service as traffic increases. The State Trunk 26 interchange is part of the 45-mile I-39-90-94 expansion from the Illinois state line to Madison and designed by KL Engineering. The judges decided that this stood apart from the others and also deserved recognition in this year's contest. So won't you please come on down? Brad Helvensleben and Dan Ryan from KL, Derek Potter from WisDOT to be recognized with the Design Award. This is Wisconsin's 3rd diverging diamond. It's expected to double the traffic capacity. These interchanges can really excel when there's a high left turn volume. At the time, there was no real standard for DDI, and this was a pioneer. A peer review was performed by Jacobs Engineering. With the large traffic volume, still it includes sidewalks and a mixed-use path that runs down the middle, shielded by a concrete barrier wall. While updating connections with collector-distributor roads, the design also includes new sidewalk connections and crossings for the Ice Age National Scenic Trail. Congratulations on a fine project. I was touched that in the nominations list of key project personnel, I couldn't help but notice the name of Todd Hertz from KL Engineering, who served as the I-39 Central Segment Project Manager before his passing in 2016. And I'd like to make a quick moment to remember our colleague from Rhinelander, formerly MSA also, Chris Drays, who died just this last month. Thank you, gentlemen, for your commitment to the people of Wisconsin. You have each left an indelible mark. And for our last category, we have the local program. This is one of my personal favorite categories. I'm glad we introduced this category a few years ago. One of my favorites to review, and I hope you'll agree with me that these are some unique, important projects. 5 nominees in the local program this year. Our first one comes from the Northeast region and Ayers. With the addition of an interchange and expected future growth, Marley Street in the village of Howard needed an upgrade. Its neighbors included subdivisions and also a concrete plant, so it sees the whole range of users, really. The solution is this 2-lane divided highway with left turn lanes, sidewalks, bike accommodations, basic landscaping. Instead of a separate stormwater pond for the project, the design team worked with the village to create a regional pond that would serve both the project and also nearby developments, saving on construction cost and future maintenance by the village. Kudos to Troy Robillard and Phil Verville from Ayers and Jesse Hansen, the WisDOT project manager. Next, we have a nomination from Northwest region, also by Ayers, Dan Sitto, Karen Waldera, and Zach Silbernick. Matt Thornson is the local project manager from WisDOT. This is the County Trunk D bridge over Irwin Creek near Whitehall in Trempealeau County. With the hilly topography, this is one of few routes, so construction staging was really an important part of the design. Temporary bypass was used. Considering the active farming community, the county chipped in for extra bridge width, which would accommodate large equipment and other users that might come across the bridge. Our third nominee is East Davis Street in the city of Beaver Dam, submitted by Southwest Region and MSA. Our own Judge Jamie Curtin was the design project manager, and ever a professional, Jamie was sat out from judging this category. Jason Dolans led the design with Zach Pearson from the region. The project tackled the full reconstruction of 4 blocks of a deteriorated street with all its utilities and nearly 60 residents. Perhaps the most efficient part of the design, you'll notice the cross-section is not symmetrical. Who says it has to be? Parking was removed from one side, reducing the overall pavement footprint while reducing stormwater load and should provide a traffic calming element while also improving pedestrian and crosswalk safety. For our fourth nominee, we head over to Kenosha, County Trunk S, designed by R.A. Smith for the Southeast region. This was Kenosha County's largest road improvement project in its history. Truly a transformative project, it adds capacity where volumes are growing, manages drainage where there had been flooding, and brings a new mixed-use path where there had been none. One neighbor is the regional airport, where a runway expansion design is underway, and this project included a detailed runway protection zone analysis. Just in case coordination with one federal agency wasn't enough, FHWA wouldn't approve the environmental report until the Federal Aviation Administration was satisfied. Oh, and of course, there were also 2 railroads. So congratulations to you, John Elkin and Caleb Mansky at R.A. Smith, and Jeff Bowen at WisDOT for making this project happen. You can hear a commonality in these projects, a transformation. An aging infrastructure is replaced. That's a great opportunity to make it fit not just what the highway standards say, but what the communities need today. And so let's head over to the city of Wisconsin Rapids, where Strand worked with the North Central region to reimagine and rebuild West Jackson Street. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating Eric Hansen from Strand, Joe Eichstadt, the city engineer from Rapids, Bree Richardson, the environmental coordinator accepting for WisDOT. You are the winners. At its heart, this project right-sizes the roadway, looking at many cross-section alternatives and ultimately reducing lanes not necessary for satisfactory operation, and using that space instead for a shared use path and increased terraces. This paved the way for a 4-way stop at the 6th Avenue intersection, which is less costly than the existing signal, plus a 4-way stop is expected to reduce crashes compared to a signal that is not warranted. Next to that is a new roundabout. The designers studied many alternatives at this intersection and determined that a roundabout fit the existing turn in the roadway, eliminated a signal, and avoided free-flow movement that would be dangerous for pedestrians. A true reimagining and right-sizing that really changes the downtown. I hope you'll all find an opportunity to get to Rapids and visit it for yourself. Congratulations. So I hope you've enjoyed this tour of some of the finest design work around the state. My goal in putting this presentation together was to give credit to people who create these projects and share some ideas and best practices with all of you. I hope this has brought you some encouragement or inspiration. I know it isn't easy. I know there's a lot of work lately. Some of you have even asked, why should we spend our time writing nominations and listening to an awards program? I'll give you 2 reasons. People want to be seen. They want their work to make a difference. They want to be recognized. And also, please, don't wait for next year's awards. What would it take to cultivate a habit of recognizing, reaching out to our coworkers and recognizing them? Make a call, write a note. And second, you might see me up here putting on the awards show. It's all fun. And really, friends, this is not a kind of a blind optimism. I know that we all carry heavy loads. Rather, intentionally paying attention to the good stuff is what makes those hard times more bearable, huh? The positive moments, the accolades, the times when there is joy, these give us that brief recharge that each one of us needs to keep on taking the challenges of the day. What would it take to cultivate a habit of seeking that joy? Thank you to everybody who tuned in, our live web worldwide audience. If you loved it, you can watch it again and again on YouTube. Thank you to the judges. Thank you to the teams who nominated these 25 projects. Congratulations to these 9 award winners. And until next time, happy spring. The PCMSs are already up out there. Drive safe. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much.